Hello and welcome to my video on how to make F1 car in Blender. This is gonna be how the final result is gonna be like, and this video or this series is gonna be divided into two parts. Yeah. Okay. So the first thing I do is to add images, top and from the side, to have as reference points when I make it. So I had already downloaded a few pictures and cut them down so it wasn't so much extra things on it. So now and then I moved it into place so it is lined up with the axis and stuff like that. Yeah. So the first thing I do is to make a cube. Then I select 4 of the sides and make them be at the center. And then I just move the other sides to make everything fit in the frame, or yeah. So I make this box and then I extrude it to, like, now I'm just basically making the basic shape, a very boxy, simple shape of the F1 car. This is based around the FIA's design for the 2022 Formula 1 car. So now I'm basically just fitting it in, or make it fit with the picture. And then I'm doing this until I am somewhat happy with the result. So now I am making like the mid body. So right now I'm just making like the red part of basically the main body, just except the underside and the diffuser, which I'm going to make later. So now I am adding in more points to have more things to work off, and just smoothing out the lines, and so it's not as boxy but still very boxy. So now I'm going to make like the top part, like the halo and the top air intake. So what I do here is that I extrude certain areas of the main body, which I just made, and basically just edit it like small parts at the time, and just see what I mean, or I think will work right. So now I am deleting the inside because that's where like the person or the drivers usually sit, and it's not filled in right there. So now I'm going to make like the side pods, I believe they are called, like the air intakes on the side of the car. Um, they are, yeah, I don't know how to say it properly, but I am basically making more things to work off. Yeah, to, yeah. Now I just began on the halo, so I extruded like just a small piece, just twisted it a bit to get the right angle, and then I extruded it more times, and then I like made lines in between the parts just to have more to work off from. When you do it this way, the first thing, just at the start, result will be very, very boxy and not really fine. And it is not like the perfect way, I believe, to make or design cars and design off from pictures. Um, yeah, but it was just something that I saw one day and I wanted to try, so I've been doing this for a few weeks, maybe. This is actually the second time, I believe, that I make this F1 car. I also have one model on Sketchfab. Yeah, so now I'm just like kind of polishing in the, or deciding like the proper shape of the halo, and then I'm going to round off the edges a bit more later on. So this way of making it is very, it's not really hard, but it takes a lot of time, and like you need to do very small changes at the time. Yeah. So now I just began working on the underside, which well, on the cars it makes like a suction force to keep the cars on the ground, or stick better to the ground, so they can have higher speeds in the corners. Then I take it a bit outwards from the side. So this is not a perfect model, but it is like a, I would say, a decent one. A decent model of the car when I have everything in. So what I just did now was to delete a section which I just found like a bit strange. Like I didn't really like how I had made it, or how it looked. So now just to make it better to, or easier to fix later or modify later, I just made a few lines in between where I cut and put in a new face. And here I begin like slightly rounding off the edges of the top air intake of the car. There is probably better ways to do this, but this is just the way I have done it for the past few weeks, and it usually works out decently. and then once again I make lines to connect points to make it easier to adjust later. And now I'm simply just modifying the sides to like a shape which I feel like is decent. Later we will see that it is maybe a bit thick when I like mirror the body, so we can see both sides. Yeah. So now I begin rounding off the outer edges, or like of the main body. Not very round, but like, yeah. So it just not look as boxy. And then I begin working on like the looks of the air intake. If you use this method of designing or modeling cars or other things in this way, I would suggest having a few pictures that you look at while you work, or even other 3D models. Especially at the start, it can be when it's like your first few times, it can be a bit hard working out like how to read the images and things properly to make the lines and curvatures fit. Yeah, so, and please, if you have gotten this far, please consider subscribing and liking the video. It would really be appreciated. So now I am going to modify like the bottom part a bit more. While I did this, I looked at pictures from like the official model that the FIA made and showed at, I believe it was the, where did they show it first? Yeah, Silverstone. Yeah. Pictures from Silverstone, where they, I believe it was there, they first showed a physical model of the full-sized car. Now I'm, yeah, what is it called? Yeah, I'm just modifying curvatures and other things. Yeah, now I'm going to work on the halo. It can be, usually the halo is a bit harder than a few of the other parts because because it is so thin. You don't really have a lot of place to work off, so it can be hard to make it exactly the size you want, and also the way it is connected to the main car also make it a bit tricky. So now I'm just like trying to adjust like make it a bit more precise when it comes to like in like make it fit more with the pictures. And now I'm going to do what I felt like was the hardest part, which was the side pods. They have like a kind of strange curvature and that, so if you do it this way it can it's hard to make it look exactly as you want, but I believe it turned out okay. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm selecting the lines and just subdividing it to create more points, and then I'm drawing lines from there just to be able to make it a bit easier. And the more reference points or the more points you have to work with, the easier it is to, or yeah, the easier it gets to like make it properly. But it also takes a bit more time, because then you have to adjust every single point. So what I suggest is start off with as few lines or as few points to work with as possible, and then later try to subdivide it and yeah, smoothen it out. There is a smoothen tool in Blender, but I personally don't like it because it often does does like things which I don't predict. It make it sometimes it changes the size of things, or yeah, that's what it does, but it changes. I don't really find the exact thing I want often when I use it. So now I have gotten like very basic shape with the intake like a flat side at one side, and then something like the curve I want on the outside, and then I like in the middle right now I am just making a small section in the middle to be able to extrude it, or extrude it a bit inwards, so it like feel like it does what it's supposed to do. Or, no, I just ended up moving it. So now I am going to combine the inner side with the outside, because I made a few faces. So if I wouldn't have done what I do now, it would have been like just a one-sided a few places. It would just have been like a one-sided plate. So now I am working on the nose. Trying to because I have used a few of the tools I have used earlier, it is like a bit hard to maneuver because it's very many points in the front, but I believe I managed to do it okay. So now I'm beginning with the front wing. It's not, I don't make the front wing too complicated. I don't make like holes in the middle as it would have been on the proper or the real life F1 cars. But that is like not a quick, but thing which is possible to change later. Now I am like cutting up the faces to make more things to work off. Here I make it not have like one constant angle, but I make it like the front wing have like be a bit flatter at the bottom, and then a bit steeper at the end to make it move air a bit differently. But here we can see that that the top air intake was a bit too big. It's like a bit too boxy for my. Or that's what I think. So I simply just select the faces I made earlier and just move them a bit in towards the middle. So this is basically how the car looks after part 1. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'm going to try to post part 1 now, part 2 as soon as possible. Bye.